Hey all, I just wanted to show you a bit of Ansible. So I wrote a small article on conditionals with a when statement or a lookup with something that's empty, for example. You can use both and yeah, you probably have your own preference. So here's one example of a lookup mechanism. So let's dive in a bit. Here's some kind of a task, right? I think, yeah, this role installs Visual Studio Code. Bit of an inception issue, but okay. Let's see. It's about this part, basically. So Visual Studio Code may need some extra things, extra packages. So in this case, I'll say install a couple of packages, required packages. These packages are listed in here, required packages, with bit of a complex lookup mechanism, so let's roll over it and understand what's going on. So the required packages refers to something else. This is a bit of a map. Within their Ansible OS family, like Debian or Red Hat or Alpine or something like that. In this case, only Debian is defined. And there is a default. So if that Ansible OS family is not found, then revert back to default, literally default. So in this case, it refers to this part, which is an empty list. So I'm expecting with the two pieces of code that for none of the operating systems, it will install something, a requirement, except for Debian. So I ran this before. Let's have a look how this responds. So for Debian, I'm just expecting a single thing to be installed, this package or so. Let's have a look at the code. Yeah, indeed, for Debian specifically, it does just install a package if it's not there. So let's run this again for a non-Debian system and find out how this returns. Is it okay or skipped? It's probably not changed, so I'm really curious actually. Skipped is typically what you see when a condition is not met. So for example, place yum repository. This is Debian, yum is not a thing there, it's opt. So let's have a look at that code. Place yum repository, do things only when the Ansible package manager is yum or DNF. Okay, that's why it did not run. And here you do opt things if it's opt. Okay, good. Let's destroy that environment again, this one, and rerun it with something else than Debian, see how it responds. Okay, here it actually already is, right? So it's testing idempotent, fine, we'll see, but that's not relevant in this case. So this is running on Fedora, non-Debian. So if you take a look at this map, yeah, it's not Debian, so it's going to be default. So the required packages variable will be filled with an empty list. And Ansible responds to that by saying, that's the way it is, it's already okay, basically. I don't need to make changes, and I'm also not going to skip. It's the way it is. Sort of ideal, right? So you ask Ansible, install me no packages, and it says, yeah, I'm done installing 0 packages. So it's a good trick. Now I think interesting is, what is better? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. So I do like this pattern a lot because from now on, if the logic tasks main is stable and all right, in this case it's probably fine, then I can just focus on the data or what I want to change. Imagine tomorrow some new distribution comes out, let's say Alpine, and that needs some kind of a package, who knows. Oh, GitHub Copilot, so nice. Anyway, I could just simply add this, don't need to change the logic and be done with it. So as a developer, the focus is much more around this data structure than it is about logic, which I like. Conditionals, on the other hand, are very clear. It's a very known pattern. No one will be surprised by a when something is true or false or so. yeah, so that there's certainly situations where you could prefer conditionals over these lookup tricks. In this case, I think it's a good balance. So I want to install something, don't care too much what, basically just make sure it's there. And what's there is defined in the vars main.yaml. And conditionally, I'll do this task or that task. These would be a bit more difficult to do with a lookup because they also use a different module, yum repository and apt repository. So it's probably possible, but tends to get difficult or so. Anyway, I'm not sure what you prefer. I'm interested though, so let me know.